few people asked to use the Masonic Club, but not a lot, and maybe that's part of it, so we don't put alcohol in there. And it's not that they never did, they used to years ago, but they, for whatever reason, changed it. But now, if you wanna go to the shrine, and you wanna come out of there sober, it's because you wanted to. Because the opportunities are endless. Each one of those little divisions, you know, the log rolls, the crazy cops, the clowns, they have their own rooms, their own bars, fully stocked. And then there's a main bar. The hard stuff, I think, is over here on the right, and the beer is on the left, fully stocked. So if you leave sober, it's because you wanted to.
You got the soft stools over where the hard liquor is,
Yeah.
and the hard stools over where the beer is.
They do
Come here.
work hard and they do play hard, but I would say I have had a couple of Todds there, but I have not left there. The other way, I wouldn't dare drive
Hard
through.
room to find a designated drug.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I wouldn't dare drive through that city. I know some of those guys are Shriners, but I'm pretty sure that don't really cut much mustard when it comes down to it.
We're not first, we're not that many delegates. I've never read this far, I've never actually been. So I just know that. Like they ask for a list, and they're so good. You know, pick from the guy, because you can just come and ask candidates. I have it, well, I have that. And she'll have a list that big too, of all of it. I just, yeah, I have no clue, and there have been all these other people on sort of the email list. Like, have emailed all of them saying, we need to know that community volunteers to do this, are you available, do you know anyone available? What else do they want to see? You want to get to go, talk about it, and decide who you want to hire. I think it's just they were concerned about having people check. I guess there were 120 people.
Article 19. All right, that's not interesting.
You know, I had spoken to Earl, and Earl had the impression from reading all kinds of law, from reading the building permit, there's no one that, if there's no tables, then I think you can go up to 75.
Yeah, that's all we need.
They've already advertised it. I didn't realize there were that many people there last time. I was.
All right.
You really have Aflac? Never seen the duck.
No, we offer Aflac to the employees, but it's at their expense. So they
Cool.
came to us 4 or 5 years ago, and so we said, yeah, we'll offer it, but it's only at the employee's expense. So, Whale. Needs Sarah, need
She got
Jill.
She's in talking.
Bill. Hey, Sarah,
Yes,
can we start?
yes.
That's one your little house.
Sorry.
I got the short chair. As if I'm not short enough.
Still one of them padded ones. That's what I did the other night.
Everybody set? Anytime, Shannon. Thank you very much. We'll call this meeting to order. We're starting early this evening so that the Budget Committee can continue their work. We have 4 out of the 5 selectmen here, so we have a quorum. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amendments to the agenda. I actually have a few. We'll call action and discussion item 6D. Discuss the Corey Miller proposal, because we never actually did discuss that as far as adding it to the agenda or adding it to the budget. 6E, the grant fund match. We never discussed that either. 6F, the $25,000 for the turf, whether we want it to continue to keep that on the warrant or not. And G is the dedication / memoriams for the town report. And that's what I have for amendments to the agenda. Anybody else have anything?
Were we gonna do the revisiting the ground fund under code enforcement?
Okay, well, yeah, we can do that as H, run around pond budget.
Under actions.
Yes, because there's been a couple changes on that, then we should vote on it before we send it to the budget committee, whether we want to make those changes. Okay. Public comment. Any public comment this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to consent agenda. And note that there is a BYOB permit if we approve this for the at the Eureka Community Center.
So move. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Action and discussion items. A, act on the Town of Lisbon dispatch extension, and we have that in our pack. This will extend it through the end of March, I believe. Yeah. At the new rate of $3 per capita.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Historic District Commission ordinances. So we have a letter from the chair of the Historic District Commission asking us to place on our warrant the ordinance changes that were approved at the February 3rd public hearing. So that is just a request that we put it on the warrant. And on the sample warrant that you have, that is on there. I don't believe we need to actually make a vote on this one, because we can do it when we do the warrant.
Sounds good.
And same thing for C, land use ordinances. And the chair of the planning board has asked us to put the revisions for the land use ordinances on the warrant at the town meeting. If there's no discussion on those, we can move on. All right, D, Corey Miller proposal. So a little over a month ago, Corey Miller came to us with a proposal for helping digitize and stabilize our historic documents and stuff here. We never discussed this actually during the budget, whether to put this on, and I'll open it up whether is there any desire to put this on this year, or should we wait? Or
I've got some questions about it. One of which was, it was mentioned that our original charter has some historical significance. And I didn't know whether that's a document that's just like here in a box, or where is that actual physical
It's in the
document?
vault,
It is in the vault.
Yeah. but it is accessible by the public.
And I ask that because I happen to be speaking with somebody who does antique document archiving for a major museum map, somebody that I know that does it for a museum, and he was intrigued by it and was actually going to speak with the people, the conservators at their museum, about maybe donating their services to properly conserve and preserve that document.
Right. So,
And so I need to get them a little bit more information
Yeah.
about it and what kind of conditions it's in, and
okay.
I don't need to touch it, but maybe like take a photograph or something just so that they have a
Shannon
sense.
has photos of it on her computer, because we used a couple of photos of it in order to try to read it so she could rewrite it.
Mhm.
So she has those available.
Okay.
There is some foxing and stuff, and some, what you would expect, typical deterioration from paper products, and some transfer from page to page.
Okay.
So you get ghosting on one page of the adjacent page.
Right. They seem to think that it did have, based on the signatories, that it has some pretty significant historical value and should probably be.
I think that would be well worth looking into for that particular document and so on. But and as for the rest of the proposal, do we want to try to? We haven't voted to present anything to the budget committee, but this is like our last opportunity. But do we want to, or is this something that we should wait a year on?
Do you remember what the money was that she was throwing out?
About
About 11,000.
11,000.
For is that the whole thing, or was okay?
I agree, it has to be done sooner or later. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I don't see it in this year's budget, that's all.
That's my feeling.
A lot-
Is
a lot on you.
we've added a lot to this budget this year, and I think it's a good idea, but I just don't see that we can do it this year.
No, I agree.
Okay. All right, moving on, the grant match fund. The grant match fund is currently around $14,000. We've approved something that will take $1,500 out in the end. The initial will be $3,000, and we'll get $1,500 back. And the question is, do we want to put an article to bring that up this year, or is that another thing to? We haven't replenished this fund in many years, but is it something we want to do this year, or wait one more year?
I think we're doing a lot of things in this budget that we haven't done in many years, and I think that may be one that has to wait.
Okay.
I agree.
But
too.
I don't know what our annual draw tends to be on it, or I don't know if the chief has any grant applications on simmer on the back burner, whether it's something that's going to be likely to run into problems with.
I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but the only one I currently have out there, well, we have a couple out there, but two of them would be fully funded. The one that would require a match, it's a 5% match. I'm guessing on the number, I think it's right around 150,000, which would make the local match like 7,500 if we were successful. The only other one that I would probably put in for is the SAFER grant, which is a staffing grant. It is open, but the odds of us, either one of those two, it would be extremely lucky if we got one, never mind both.
So the 14 be sufficient that we have in there?
I'm gonna be looking for some grants for culvert upgrades, for stream crossings, is that what you're?
So this grant match, what it allows us to do is if during the year any department wins a grant that requires matching funds, we can use the grant match fund for that without having to go reappropriate money. And so it gives us flexibility when grants are.
Well, we're just getting started in that process, so I really don't even know what all the terms and what their percentages are, so.
And I would encourage the historical commission to look into maybe pursuing some grants to deal with some of the document preservation and I don't know if there's anybody in the group that's interested in
Yeah, that's,
doing
we,
that, but I think that's.
so the historic
The Historic Society?
society doesn't actually, I mean, unless, I mean, they have some of their documents up there as well and so on, but they don't have any,
They don't have right.
Yeah, any, right or whatever to the documents
Got it.
here.
Got
so.
it.
Okay.
Just trying to think of creative way. I think it's
Yeah.
important to save the documents, and if we can think of some creative ways to access funds, then that was what I.
I think it's worthwhile producing a letter to the Historic District Commission to talk to Chris Cross, who they've been using as an advisor, to see if inclusion of some of that type of information in town can be brought in under that ordinance. And then they have the opportunity to approach for grants, both through the state and the federal government, for that particular type of stuff. So it might be worth a letter inquiring to them to do a little groundwork on that.
Absolutely.
When we put the money out for a grant, how long does it typically take before we get any of that? On the ones that we gotta put all up front before we get, is it weeks, months?
No, actually, most of the ones that I normally put in for are usually fairly quick turnaround. Occasionally they get hung up, that last Homeland Security grant got hung up in the process and stuff. Most of the time within 2 months maximum probably, after submission, not from grant start. Like the last Homeland Security one was a bigger amount, plus from grant start to grant finish was probably where it was a tower and all that. It was probably close to a 6-month process, and then with the turnaround time, that one, yeah, we started investing money, and it was probably close to 8 months before, or 9 months before we actually got the federal share of it back.
I was just wondering if this is kind of enough. I mean, it probably ain't in the long term, but if we had to put some up, or we've got some back, and we could put in, another grant was coming, we could offset how they were done, so that timing would work, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really
Tricky.
It's the timing. We have no say over the timing on them because they grant them when they grant them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But so I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards leaving it where it is and hopefully we can
Squeak by.
get this on next year's. But
I agree.
and anybody wanting to add?
I think that, we've talked about several things to not add. I don't necessarily know what the parameters are. Are those things that we should at least make the budget committee aware of, that we considered and that the selectmen have chosen not to move forward with?
I don't think it hurts. I could mention them tonight.
I just want to make sure.
In case there's somebody that's
Just making sure that everybody has,
Yeah.
all the players that are voting on it have the information.
All right, moving on from grant fund match, we've got the $25,000 for the turf. We had initially decided to put it on the warrant. It's actually on the warrant packet that we have here. The budget committee actually, I think, made some good points about not putting it on yet, and at least waiting until they try to change what the monies are used from the school vote. So
I agree.
I agree.
It made sense.
So everyone in favor of removing it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So when they come to that and see it, we can mention that we have removed it. All right, on to dedication and in memoriams for the town report. I'm a little late on this, but I just haven't brought it up. I did ask Shannon to give us a listing, and when we go down through and look, in 2015, Doris Duple passed away. She was a deputy tax collector and treasurer under her mother from 1969 and 1988. Janet St. Michel was an election clerk here in town for many years. Joseph St. Michel was a selectman and assessor, overseer of the Poor and Budget Committee. They have 1984 to 1987 with a question mark. The dates are not certain on that. Marvin Woodbury was a selectman in 1975. Blaine Footman, 20 years as a deputy sheriff and local sheriff and constable. Maxine Hurling did a lot with the Historical Society. Irene Delicata was an electric clerk. And Charles Larrabee was road commissioner for many, many years. If I'm not mistaken, it was 20 plus years. And so those are the ones that we were able to find that had significant, did significant things for the town. And typically we have one dedication, and we might have 3, 4, or whatever memoriams, which would be shorter. But
Yeah, I was thinking, what did we have last year? I thought we had 2.
we had a dedication to, I think,
Denise LaFawn?
no, that was the year before, I think. We had, I think it was John Ackerman, we did the
Yes.
dedication, and then we may have had 1 or 2 other in memoriams. But,
I was thinking this one here would be the dedication, and then I was thinking this one here. I hadn't really thought about the other ones.
so, you were thinking Charles Larrabee for the
Yeah.
dedication.
Right.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and Blaine Footman as a
Yeah,
memoriam.
yeah.
I agree with that.
Along with Duple. I mean, she was many years, 66 to 80,
69 to 88.
69 years, so
Yeah.
with many years there. That's almost 20 years there.
I would.
That was her mother, Mabel Russell. Remember going in that trail when
I remember going up top of the hill and Bruce's old house going and paying.
Back of the house.
Yeah, absolutely. What a driveway to get out of.
That one, that's the dedication. It's my thought.
So the memoriam was Lane, and who did you select?
Doris Duple,
Doris Duple.
so far anyways. That's,
Yeah, I have. Sure of that.
Any other? Any?
you think any others?
Well, the only other ones I had wondered were
One of these two, yeah.
or putting them to put them together because they were a couple, and they between
Oh, they
were between the two of them, they put in many
They
years
were
of
married?
service. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Next
Well,
day.
yeah, that's fine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do. So I'll make a motion that we dedicate the town report to Mr. Charles Larrabee, who was road commissioner, and that we do memoriams for Mr. Blaine Footman, Mr. Joseph St. Michel, and Mrs. Joseph St. Michel, when we can do that as a
Yeah.
combined, and Mrs. Doris Duple.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Last one under action and discussion is Runaround Pond. You should have a new printout, or no? Yes, under Parks and Recreation, yes.
Oh,
There
yes.
should be a new printout.
Yeah, the thing down the bottom.
There are a couple of changes that were made. One is under the sanitation line. Paul was becoming concerned that we might not have enough in there to do what we need to do for the porta potty. So they added $800 into that line. And down below, we added all the state park fees. We received the money because of the state park, but it is not required that it all be spent on the park.
Why is that?
Why isn't it
No,
required?
what line is that?
Down at the bottom under designated
Oh,
fund.
okay.
Designated.
Oh, okay.
So that reduced, we reduced the raise to 0, and the recreation fund would now be at 11,473. So we would not have to raise anything this year. It is quite possible in years in the next couple of years, we might have to start raising for that, because the money's coming in is not
Right.
as much, so.
Yep.
So those are the changes for this, and I'll take a motion that we, if you want to accept these changes, and then we can present them to the Budget Committee tonight.
So move. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Who first?
Motion carried. Before we go on, are you here to make any comments or anything?
No,
No, okay.
just to listen.
Okay, let me see if I can get you some seats over.
All right, next up, that's fine for now. That's all right. Chief?
Thanks, Chloe.
Try to keep it, one more. Try to keep it brief. So all I put on my report for this evening was the material in reference, did I give you guys enough? Was in the material in reference to the dispatch research. Right now, what you have in front of you is the numbers and the information I've got back. I've had a couple of telephone conversations with Brunswick, but they haven't got back to me with final numbers. Lewiston, Auburn 911, you've got what number I have got from the radio company, but I think they're interested, but by the same token, I think where it's gonna add a seat, that she thought it would be, gonna be extremely cost prohibitive, because by adding a seat, that means they need to staff that position 24/7. So they thought it'd be extremely cost prohibitive, so I'm not certain that she'll actually, and we reached out again last week, so I'm not certain she's actually gonna get back to me, just because of that. ASO, at $250 per capita, they're definitely interested in doing it and stuff. The one thing we do have is we got the setup cost of $6,925, and we have an IT line. They don't want to do it by radio link. They want to do it with an IT link, a fiber optic link to Durham, and the rental fee is $180 a month. They want to use our tower. They're willing to absorb 30 of that for their use of our tower, but it'd still cost us $150 per month additional for that. So
I would guess for the two above there, where you say you don't know about how much the IT line would, I would guess it would be probably in the
very
same
similar.
range.
Yeah, I would assume it would be very similar. Lisbon, it had conversations and meetings with a meeting with Lisbon and stuff. It is $3 per capita is what they want to continue doing it. Obviously, there's no moving or setup costs, and it is what it is in regards to the cost. It's the $3 per capita. They said there's really no space to make changes to that $3 per capita. That's what they decided and voted on to charge the other communities. I have had meetings with them. We did discuss services and the need to address some of the things and make some changes and stuff. I have a meeting currently scheduled between here at the Durham station for March 14th, 7 p.m. When I went to the meeting over there, they put together a PowerPoint presentation explaining a lot of it, how it transpires and everything. What we discussed is I'm actually going to review the PowerPoint, and I'm going to add one or two slides focusing on what Durham Fire and Rescue, what we need to work on our communication end, and so we're kind of at right now is, if we choose to end up staying there, we've ended up is we both have areas that we need to address, and we both have things we need to start progressing on instead of sitting there stagnantly and stuff. So anyways, that's going to be opened up to the board and to the Budget Committee as well as my department offices to attend that, and that's where we stay, get the ball rolling. That's it for the dispatch report. I'm not sure how much more additional information I'll get unless I really press. I'll be honest with you, I think we need to see if the Lisbon thing will actually work out first. And
I mean, look,
that.
as far as cost savings, any, like, between ASO and Lisbon, any cost savings is eaten up in $150 per month line, because it's 50 cents a person, and that's roughly $1,900, and so it's eaten up with that.
The only question I had is with Brunswick, Your notes indicate that they may be able to do PSAP as well. Is there an advantage to having our PSAP and our dispatch coming out of the same place?
911 people are gonna tell you no. My honest
From
opinion.
your perspective, from
My perspective,
Durham
yes.
Fire Department.
Yes, my honest opinion is yes. The call, I mean, anytime you transfer something or have, whether it's done electronically, mechanically, or anything, anytime you put something in the sequence of the event, there's an opportunity for things to go wrong, and it's gotta take time. No matter what, it's gotta take time. So obviously with Lisbon Sheriff's Department's at PSAP, any one of the other three, actually, besides Lisbon, do PSAPing services. I'm not sure about if we could utilize LA 911 or Brunswick, because initially it was a requirement that you had to have your PSAP had to also be where your law enforcement was provided, if that was an option. So I'm not sure if that changed, where they opened it up and made it so that PSAPs could start charging. If that has changed, any one of the other three could actually be our PSAP and dispatch center, and don't put me on the spot to try to guesstimate what the time
No, I just,
is.
and
but-
so I just wondered if there was.
But there's
a-
obviously gotta be time consumed, and any time in an emergency, you consume time. Time is what you're working against, so you can't afford to lose any time that you don't have to.
So with that in mind, I didn't know if it was worth at least following up with Brunswick and trying to get cost of
Yep.
service numbers.
Well, I actually think Brunswick, Lewiston and Auburn 911, I mean, I can call her again, but I think she's really concerned that it's virtually
Right, they'd have to
a
put.
waste
they'd have
and
to hire
ridiculous
somebody
to
else.
add a 24/7 seat just because Durham's coming on board. If there were 2 or 3 towns coming on, well, then it might make it cost
Right,
effective.
it's a tipping point
Um,
there.
And she was gonna take it to a board, so haven't heard back from her. I'm thinking they're more or less saying, we need to figure something else out before we do that. Brunswick, actually, as far as I know, Brunswick's plan is, commander down at the police department, and as far as I know, our last phone conversation, he was gonna talk to his chief and get back to me with some ideas on cost for dispatching services. So I guess that's still out there and active. I'm not sure how active LA 911 is. But I do think at least for the time being, I mean, we voted on the 3-month extension. I definitely think we should sit down, meet with the town of Lisbon, and go over where we go, how we make it work.
Okay.
That's a report. If I get additional information back from Brunswick, I'll let you know. I will forward an email or whatever to Ruth saying that, hey, Budget Committee, Board of Selectmen are all invited to this event. And obviously, it's open to the public, but those were gonna be the invited participants.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Got more done than I thought.
Okay, so most of this stuff's been covered. You got the presentations of both of the two ordinances. They're actually, the land use ordinance, just to kind of fill you in, we've taken and combined the land use ordinance with subdivision, backlot, and groundwater protection. They're now all in the same document. There's a lot of overlap between them and stuff, and it just seemed to make sense in that. The historic district ordinance, the changes in that are essentially, we've divided the district into what are considered contributing and non-contributing properties. Contributing properties contribute to the historic portion of the district, and non-contributing don't, and so we've allowed non-contributing structures to take a different path of permitting, and to make it easier, because it's been difficult on the properties that were in the district that weren't historical. So those are the changes that have been recommended for that, and the Historic District Commission, should this pass, will no longer carry the badge of the paint police, because we've removed the requirement to come before the board to change the paint color on your house. So that should help a little bit. The Department of Agriculture did get back to me with some recommended changes in the ordinance so that we're in compliance with the Department of Ag, which is a pretty important one. I did talk to Mark this morning about the changes that made and sent him the portions of the ordinance that we brought back in line with him, and verbally he gave me the nod on it. I'm sure I'll get something in writing on him probably by Thursday. He's been pretty quick on the turnaround on that. The conversation around Runaround Pond, the request that came from Ruth on behalf of the Runaround Pond Privy Project was at my concern. I haven't gone through this process before with state funds and various things, and I'm a little uncertain as to how much money it's gonna cost the town to do this. I'm expecting it to not cost much, but my fear was in our conversation that should I not come in on my estimate, where are we? And without having to go through hoops and jumps to get more funds allocated to make up the difference, that it was best to put a little to upload the front part of it, because any money that we don't spend then goes back into the rec budget, and it seemed to be the simplest way to do it and not get anybody caught in a corner, because I'm a little bit ignorant as to how this process will end up. The gazebo, Mike had come across somebody that had some interest. He showed up today to talk to me about what the requirements are we have in order to get the gazebo back in line. He said he would try to look at it here within the next week or so and get back to me. I have not heard from the folks that you had.
Oh, okay, I had met somebody that works at the vocational high school, that actually met the guy that runs the building program, and so I immediately asked him about it. And he said I gave him Paul's name and number, and he said he would give him a call and he would come check it out to see if it was an appropriate project, particularly because he does have students from Durham in his program, so he was kind of intrigued by the idea of doing a project here.
Well, I was gonna request if you would get me his contact information, I'd be bold enough to call him, just in case it slipped his mind, or if there's some
Absolutely.
concerns, and then I can kind of tell him what we're up against. Because it'd be good to have a little more, moving on that.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I met him sort of in passing with other people. I know his name and that he's the building
It's all we need to start.
supervisor.
I
for
can
that
chase it
program.
down from there.
Perfect.
What's his
That
name?
would be great. So,
Marcel Giroux?
other than that, I'm good.
Any questions for Coach?
Pass these down. Pass them.
Time to close them up?
I think you might have an extra one.
We probably did.
Yeah, you did an extra one out there.
I was just going to ask about
You
this.
got two of them. They're gonna close up the roads. Everywhere else.
Yeah, I've seen them
Yeah, I see
posted and signs.
some signs up already.
Just Freeport just posted.
I put the signs
This one
up this
did.
morning, assuming that you guys would be okay with that. So we dated them for today, and so trying to figure out what we had for an ordinance. We don't have an ordinance for road posting. We have an ordinance called weights restrictions, which is very confusing because it appears to be the posting ordinance, but it's not. That is an ordinance that is, we have 2 roads in town that are posted year-round for weights, and I forget the 2 that were 3. There were 3 on there. That's in a separate ordinance. So this, all we do is we follow what the state statute is on Title 29, 2395, and I had printed that off, but I guess I didn't put them in here, but it just states that the towns have the legal right to post roads at times of year when they feel that the roads are sensitive and susceptible to damage, and that the select board has the authority, and that they can appoint a road commissioner, code enforcement officer, or law enforcement agent to enforce the ordinance. So I would ask that you guys vote to appoint me to administer it. And
I would move that we appoint the road commissioner to administer the road posting.
Who was the second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
if I could get you guys to sign one of these, pass it around, and
Now you want us to sign.
Anything else tonight?
that's all I got.
Oh, what do you get the boys doing? What are you guys up to? Since we have a slow winter here going on.
They're always busy. Patching roads and
I see, the reason I ask is I see Topsom and Lisbon's doing it right now. They're cutting brush.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect time of year to do that, when no bugs, not hot, and you get into
Yeah.
no leaves.
We're planning on getting started on that. We're gonna start up on Runaround Pond Road probably next week.
Do we get a chipper, do we rent one, or what do we do?
Rent one.
So just stack it up for now and rent one?
I'm gonna try to see if I can get Brunswick or Freeport or somebody to take the brush, because they usually doesn't cost anything to get rid of it. I know where it was before, we took it across the bridge to Mexico and they took it for free, so.
Good luck with that.
That's what chips all is, I feel.
So, just date that to what you need. So the signs are all up.
Lisbon's went up today, too.
Anything else for the road commissioner? Okay. Let's see, so there will be upcoming meetings held here at the town office, Tuesday, March 8th at 6:30 PM and Tuesday, March 22nd at 6:30 PM. One other thing, something that we've done in the past is we've offered time at the beginning of one of our meetings for anybody who's running for office if they want to introduce themselves.
Sure.
Do we want to do it on the March 8th meeting or the March 22nd meeting?
March 22nd is closer to the date, they're gonna be voting, people voting on them, so they'll see it on TV, it's better.
Okay, so we'll set up some time at the March 22nd meeting. And can you contact anybody that's,
Wade, you'll be here March 22nd.
okay. Anything else this evening? I think I'd prefer to actually recess at this point in case, because we might have time to come back after the budget committee to review the warrant a final time.
Okay.
So I'll move that we go into recess.
Second?
All in favor? Motion carries.